Hello, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day. It is Thursday. It has been a very busy week. I actually took some photos this week and I realized I need to, not eat so many cookies anymore. But it's been a very, very busy week. We have some really good news and I didn't bring it down here with me, but iFind You Clothes officially got its registered trademark. Yay! So it took over a year. Actually 13 months, and it took a lot of money with an attorney. Yay! So we're excited about that. But thank you so very much for joining us here. This is Travel the World as a speaker, coming to you live here on YouTube and Instagram. And today we're going to talk about how much should I charge as a speaker, because everybody always wants to know how much should I charge. So we're going to talk about that today. Really excited about it, and I think it's going to be a little bit of fun. So we're going to talk about that. And I was kind of having some technical difficulties, meaning I was breaking things, and I was also kind of stalling because I was trying to find a really funny travel story, and there are like so many in my head. Oh, but I'm going to tell you about this one. So this will be one of the fun ones. So what we do here on Travel the World as a speaker, we talk about the two things I love the most, and that is traveling and talking about speaking. And we really talk about how you can leverage speaking so that you can travel. And I'm talking about public speaking here. And I usually start to show off with a little bit of a travel story, and then we get into our topic. So I'm going to tell you about the time I had to get picked up by a stranger in my first time going to the United Kingdom. And this is in honor of Meghan and Harry. Has nothing to do with them, but we all saw the interview. So we're going to talk about that. And of course, the show is brought to you by iFind You Clothes. You can go check the link in the bio. Go check the link in the bio if you want to come see what we're all about. So what we do is we send out speaking opportunities to those who want to use public speaking as a way to market their businesses on stage in front of their target audience. So every Monday we send out brand new leads. So if you go to ifindyouclothes.com, you can come check us out. Okay, so let me go ahead and switch over and tell you about this story. So many of you may not know this, but I was a computer scientist and a systems engineer for the United States Navy. So I was not enlisted, but I was one of their science nerds working in a lab. And I used to do projects I worked on projects that would take me over to Europe. So one of the very first trips that I had, I think I was 22, 23 years old, fresh out of college, brand new to the job. And, they said, hey, the first time they said, hey, anybody want to travel? And I'm like, good, you're going to Boston. I'm like, oh, because they were talking about the UK. And I was like, I want to go to London because I want to get my hair done. But yeah, so I didn't go that first time. But my boss, the second time around, we were going to go to, I think in between I had gone to Germany and a couple other places. But, I really wanted to go to this London trip. And so it came up, so two of us were going to go. And unfortunately, my boss's puppy died, so she stayed behind. So I went on my own. So I was the first time, and I was kind of the one in charge of kind of figuring out where to go, how to get on the train and stuff like that. That's kind of my thing. I love doing that. Anywhere I go, and plus the train maps, they have colors. Simple. I know, colors. So I remember so we did this. So I get on the train and I had to go from Heathrow Airport, and the goal was to get to the Royal Air Force Base in Mildenhall. And so I can get to the train, and then I didn't know how to get to the Air Force Base. So our contact over in the UK said, don't worry, we're going to send somebody to pick you up. And I was like, who? What time? Who is it? Do they have a phone number? You're like, how do I find this person? They're like, oh, don't worry about it. Now, of course, me being an adult woman, these are not stories that, when you're like 22 years old, these are stories that are like, this could end very, very badly. And, it was a very interesting trip. So I get to the train station, and literally there was a guy, I think it was an English guy. He came by and he was like, hey, are you Phylecia? I'm taking you to the Air Force Base. I think he may have introduced himself. I don't know. I don't remember his name, but I remember getting in the car with this random stranger. Of course, everything is backwards. So the steering wheel's on the other side. So like thoroughly confused. We started driving on the other side of the road. And then that was actually my first time encountering roundabouts. So I am just a hot mess sitting in the car trying not to panic. Because it's like, I mean, one, I just got off of it was coming from California to London. So it was a really long flight. I had to I think I went from like San Diego to Dallas to London. So it was a long day. You're already tired. You're jet lagged. You don't know if you're awake or you sleep or you're hungry or you're not. And then you get in the car and like everything is just backwards. And I was just like, I remember I had to get to the point where I had to put my head down and not look outside. It was so stressful. But I made it there. So everything was good. He was a gentleman. He was really nice. Dropped me off at the Air Force Base. I had to just go drop off a laptop. Thank you, U.S. taxpayers. That was my job. I had to go drop off this laptop, and I met up with some other guys who are part of the Air Force in the United States. We went bar hopping in Oxford. I forget where we were. All I know is that I went clubbing in the UK, and then I took vacation after that. So I basically did like London and that area for like 7 days. Made it back home okay, got my hair done, like the best hairstyle I ever had me considering going back and forth to London just to get my hair done. That's how crazy this trip was. But luckily, it was fine. But I remember when I tell people this story, they were just like, so you just got in the car with a stranger? Yeah, I did. So young people, don't do what I did. Don't get in the car with strangers. No, don't do it. I mean, I guess we do it in Ubers, right? Yeah, just don't do it. Anyway, so let's go ahead and jump into this topic of how much should I charge as a speaker. So for those of you on Instagram, I'm going to be here. I have my whiteboard up on my YouTube channel. So if you want to kind of see what we're doing, you can come over here to ifindyouclothes.com/YouTube or check the link in the bio on Instagram. Otherwise, just use your imagination. All right, so let's jump into this. How much should I charge as a speaker? Now, here is the thing. I'm going to give you how I think you should charge. There are other people who have programs around this. They have formulas where you can like type in things and magic appears of how much you should charge. People have graphs of how long you've been speaking and how much you should charge. All of these things. The reality is when you get on the phone with somebody and you have to kind of talk this out, it is nerve-wracking. So here's what I want you to do. I always say when it comes to charging for speaking, you're going to have to figure out what you are comfortable with saying out loud. That's usually the biggest challenge. Most of us have no idea what to say. And then sometimes we'll say like $500, like our voice goes really, really low. So what I want you to do when it comes to charging is you need to practice saying out loud. When somebody says, Phylecia, how much do you charge? I charge $5,000. And don't blink, don't say anything, don't cover it up, don't back out of it. You say it and you hush. That's what you do. Because I get it. We all do it. Even when we're selling programs, we're selling stuff, we like, it's $1,000 and I do this and I do this and I do this and we keep going and we keep going. What we first need to discover or understand is that whatever this number is, it doesn't really matter. You got to say it with a straight face and silence when you are done. Like if you charge $10,000, it's $10,000 in silence. Don't do any of that, okay? So whatever that number is, you need to just be comfortable with saying it out loud. So if you are starting off speaking, and I think I've talked about this before. It could be on a previous episode. I don't know. I feel like either deja vu is happening, but I would just always say, you start at a certain point and then you start increasing. So if you're like still kind of afraid to talk about, how much you should charge, I would actually say just start at $500 for your first gig ever. If you're still new to this and you're uncomfortable with jumping right out the bat at $1,500, and me personally, I actually think you should start at $1,250 or between $1,250 and $1,500. I will tell you why in a second. But I would say if you're just starting off, start with $500, and your next gig, increase that by $250. That's it. Just increase it by $250. So, $500. So your next gig, somebody loves you, $750. For your next one, now you're at $1,000. And it's like, so now you could just slowly increment yourself so that you can be comfortable with what you're saying. For those of you who are aggressive and you just want to test it out, start with 500 and double it the next time. Double it again and just see what happens. Now, I personally do think if I can go back in time, actually, there is no go back in time. I started off a lot higher when it comes to this. But I would say start off between $1,200, $1,250, and $1,500. And the reason, if you're brand new to this, is because you want to have enough enough room to negotiate. Because you want to be able to say, all right, here's your rate, $1,250, and somebody says, oh, we have a budget of, $1,150. And then you can say, oh my gosh, I can kind of work with that, that type of thing. You want to be able to, I've kind of lived by the rule, she who says the number first loses. That's pretty much what it is. So she who says the number that is more confident and that is high enough, she has more room to negotiate. So that's why I want you to kind of jump a little higher, because, one of my first experiences, I started off, and they were like, well, how much do you charge? And, I didn't do all the questions. I was still very new. And I was like, well, I charge $1,250. And then of course they said, oh, easy. We had a budget of $1,500, but we can definitely do it for $1,250. And it's like, ruined it. So that's why sometimes you have to start off just a little bit higher. And if you don't want to do these negotiation games, you can put your rates on your website and just be done. Like, this is my rate. That's it. That's it. So I would just say, when it comes to charging, you need to figure out what your number is. That's it. Figure out what that number is, and you have to be comfortable with it. And that's usually why we get into these discussions of how much should I charge. It all depends on what is the value and what is the worth for the person worth paying you. Because somebody may only want to spend $5,000 on me. Somebody else may want to spend $10,000. Now it's up to me to decide, no, I don't want the $5,000, or yes, I do, I'll take it. It really does come down to you. Now, I know it's unpopular opinion. My genius zone is in pitching, and I know how to pitch for me. But I will definitely say one of the biggest issues I had was being able to say what I wanted to charge and sticking to it. That is it. That's going to be the real thing, because it doesn't really matter how many formulas people give you, how many charts. When you are on the phone or when you are in those rounds of negotiating, that's when it can get very, very interesting. But half the time it comes to us being confident in what we know we can bring. And you also got to ask yourself, am I worth this? I mean, that's what it comes in. Like, am I worth it? If you believe you are worth it, you can go and ask for it. No problems. Okay. So when it comes to how much should I charge, I will definitely say, for my newbies out there, start around $1,200. If you're not comfortable saying that out loud, start at $500. Every gig, increment it by $250. And you'll quickly get to $1,500, $3,000, $4,000. If you've been in this game for a while and you have all of the assets, the credibility, now you can start commanding a little bit more. Remember, demand, how do I explain this? So your demand will kind of depend on how much you get paid. If 300 people are calling me and they want to work with me as a speaker, that is so easy to kind of raise the price. But when you are brand new, you're kind of working under somebody else's rules. So the thing is, create the credibility, create the demand, and then you can write your own ticket when it comes to speaking. So hopefully that helps just a little bit. If you got questions, put them in the comment box. I will be sure to answer them. And I actually got to go back upstairs and do some work now. Oh, it's not my night to cook. So excited about that. So if you got any questions about anything, be sure to put them in the comment box. If you are interested in getting some help with marketing your business on stage as a speaker, please come and check us out at iFindYouClose.com. And oh my gosh, it's going to be Friday tomorrow. So remember, I'm going to start prepping you. There is a time change here in the United States on Sunday. So go ahead and start mentally preparing to spring forward. So take care of yourself. I will see you tomorrow. All right. And for those of you here on YouTube, I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow as well. Bye.